And we are live. Do not adjust your sets. Yes, it's been a while, but we are here for you, of course. This is Stoppage Time FC. Zach, Joe, shout out to the backup keeper, Jorge. Got us straight here on the live situation. We're going to have a deeper review of what's been going on across Europe next week as far as actual matches, but we just had to hit the transfer season. It is now officially over. So we're going to do this in about 30 minutes or less to try to just recap what has been as wild a transfer window as I can ever remember in my lifetime. But fellas, what is going on? Both of y'all have taken liberties with my team in the last couple of weeks. I don't really appreciate it, but that's a whole nother subject. I guess I'll start with maybe the man who's probably the happiest of the three of us regarding transfers, and that's Zach, I'm assuming. So, Zach, Chelsea moving throughout the window, moves in June, moves in July, moves in August. Tell us about what's going on with Chelsea and your level of happy
I went
with Chelsea right now.
You know, the transfer window opened, and I was a little nervous. It started a little slow, and I was like, okay, where are we going? We had that Holland situation, and we all kind of knew, that this was going to be tough. But then, if we go back, I actually, on a previous show, had mentioned that if we can't get Erling Haaland, we might want to think about getting Romelu Lukaku. I'm not saying I spoke it into existence.
Right.
But your boy definitely pointed it out. So we managed to get that signing done, which was huge. He made an immediate impact, much to Ronnie's demise in his first match. And, we made a last-ditch effort to shore up the midfield today, bringing in a very highly underrated midfielder in Saul from Atletico Madrid. He, in my eyes, is the second best midfielder already on this team. I know I talked about it earlier, and Jimmy was we were kind of going back and forth about it. I don't think Saul will get the nod right away. I think that a lot's going to depend on what Conte, because Conte he picked up a knock, so if he's injured for a little bit, we could see him forced into action a little bit sooner. But I think Tuchel will give him some time to get his feet underneath him, get used to the Prem. And then I'm hoping that the midfield pairing that Chelsea come out with when it's all said and done is Conte and Saul. That right there is just disgusting, and I'm so here for it. I'm so here for it.
I like the move, by Chelsea. I think what they're doing is they really shored up their midfield, and they have a lot of different midfielders. They have like, it looks like it's overcrowded, but it's not really, because all their midfielders do different things. So they can play. Tuchel can play like any combination of three. He could just pick three names out of the hat, and it'll probably fit. Joe, I want to swing this up to you, because City just sort of started the transfer window because it was really nothing going on for about a month. We didn't take for a month because there really wasn't anything to talk about for a month, to be perfectly honest with you. Plus, we was enjoying our summers. The Jack Grealish move. Now obviously, as a City fan, you can tell us your view on it. Overkill, necessary. How do you view the move for Grealish? And then we'll talk about what didn't happen after that.
So I think it's surplus for sure, and it's a lot of money to spend on a player that kind of fills in with a bunch of guys we have already. We already have a ton of midfielders and wingers that we're already getting plenty of run. However, he does some things a little bit differently than some of the other guys. So he does some things well that some of our guys struggle with, which is making runs with the ball. We have a lot of guys that are great at working with work rate and moving the ball like Pep likes to, but we didn't have as many guys that would just take a guy one-on-one out on the wing and get into the box. And Jack is good at that. We definitely had to pay a little extra since it is an English player going from one Premier League team to another Premier League team. So a lot of the transfer value websites that I saw had Jack at 75 million, which I think is still a lot. We paid 100, which currently is still the British record for transfer records, and that's opposite of what we usually do. We don't usually spend that kind of money on one guy. And when it's someone like Jack, who is a good player, isn't somebody you think of as a $100 million player all the time. But I'm warming to the idea after seeing him play. I think he's going to fit in really well with the guys that we do have. Pep has kind of shifted some of the players we currently have to new roles in the first 2 games since the Tottenham loss. Has looked fantastic with the movement and with the way he's lined up, having Gabby Jesus out wide and Jack out on the other side with Ferran Torres up front. So I'm getting a more look at Jack now that he's with City. I've watched him a bit with Villa, but now that I've gotten to see him more and how he's going to fit in with guys we have currently, I think it's a good signing. I wish we didn't spend as much, but it's not my money. It's Sheikh Mansour's money. So it is what it is.
Now, you look at their team and you say, okay, if it doesn't work, this is the brilliance of City in similar mode to the brilliance of Chelsea. If it doesn't work, that's okay. We'll just throw on Raheem Sterling and Riyad Mahrez if this doesn't work. And there are just nobody in the Premier League, even there are very few teams in the world who can just say, if this doesn't work, we can go to Raheem Sterling and Riyad Mahrez as plan B. Same thing with Zach with Chelsea. If this doesn't work we can throw in Kovacic. We could throw in Jorginho. We'll throw in Hakim Ziyech off the bench. Like, if it doesn't work, we'll just find, let's just throw somebody else on there. So I think, even though, and I want to get your opinion, Joe, on this. So even though the Harry Kane move didn't pan out, and then we're gonna get to the most dramatic of transfers after that. Are you okay with the Harry Kane move not panning out?
I am very happy that Daniel Levy decided to do what he does and pretty much take a middle finger up to City and say we're not negotiating, because I did not want us to spend 150 million on Harry Kane, who is a fine player, 20 goals, 20 assists last year, great player. I think he would have fit in well with the team, but spending that much money on a guy who has injury problems and is on the tail end of his soccer prime at 28. Don't
tell Ronaldo that.
Right. We'll get to him in a minute.
We're about to get to that whole thing.
So I'm not
at
all upset that we didn't get him. Seeing how certain moves have been made around the European soccer landscape leaves us in a pretty good position for next transfer window when a certain German or player out in Germany is going to be coming available. Because a lot of the teams that would be competing with have filled that role and spent a lot of money this transfer window on that particular position. So the number of teams that will be looking and have the ability to sign and go for Erling Haaland next transfer window in the summer will be us and maybe 2 other teams. So that puts us in a great position to sign him next year. And I would much rather spend that large sum of money on a guy who's 21 and can grow with the team that we have currently. So I'm not at all disappointed that Harry Kane isn't coming. For this one season, I really like so far what Ferran Torres has done as a striker up front. And I've told guys in the past on this show and in the group that we do have a younger 18-year-old striker that is going to be getting first team reps that is similar in size as Haaland. He's not on that level by any means yet. I'm not comparing him to him, but size-wise, they're similar. Bigger, faster, and will give us something different. And his name's Liam Delap. He scored 24 goals in the second tier of English football last year. He's a big guy, he's fast, and has been through our academy for a couple of years. So he will likely be getting the kind of the backup striker reps, and he will kind of fill that larger striker role, which is something we didn't have last year. We didn't have a guy that we could throw on in the second half to kind of change things if the typical City style wasn't working. So I'm excited to see him get some minutes, and I like what Pep has done with switching Gabby Jesus and Ferran Torres into do different positions. They've been really successful so far. So
I think if City does have a weakness, though, it's still going to be their weakness for this season is going to be, not having a true number 9. I like what I've seen from Delap. I think he shows promise. I think that he's ultimately not going to he's not going to end up playing for City just because, I mean, realistically, I think Haaland is probably going to end up in Manchester next year. I think it went from 5 teams to 3 next year. It's going to be City. It's going to be Dortmund's big brother, Bayern, or it's going to be PSG. Yeah. Because if Mbappe goes, then that they're going to shell out all sorts of money, and the lure of playing with Messi and Neymar might be too much for City to combat, especially if he knows now that Pep has already set his expiration date. That's going to be City's biggest struggle.
He did clarify before the last match that he was saying when his time at City is up, that's when he's going to take a break. He did not mean it as immediately like 2023 at the end of this particular contract was going to be it. It could still be that time, but he did say that when his time in Manchester is up, and that doesn't necessarily mean in 2 years, but we shall see.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. So summer 22, it will be the summer of Mbappe, the summer of Erling Haaland. But let's talk about the month of August, and it was as wild a swing as I've seen. So we kind of rewind. So Barcelona, and we might talk about Barcelona because somehow today they spent $70 million, and I thought they didn't have any money. But okay,
right?
That's a whole nother story. So we get Messi goes to Paris Saint-Germain. Barcelona's broke at this time. So Messi goes to Paris Saint-Germain. The greatest player of all time, depending on who you want to talk to, is now in Paris. Not to be outdone, Cristiano Ronaldo tells Juventus, thanks, but no thanks. I'm tired of being here. Knowing Cristiano, there was a little bit of, hey, they're not talking about me enough. So let me throw my name into the hat real quick. And so for 24 hours, it looked very much like he's going to play for the light blue side of Manchester, and he's going to go to City. And it looked, there's nothing sure, but it looked pretty certain. The next day we wake up, and there's even talk it's Raheem Sterling's going to go. Like City is clearing the space out for Cristiano Ronaldo. Literally, in our group chat, 3 hours later, maybe even 2 hours, 2-3 hours later, Ronaldo's going back to Manchester United.
Wearing red.
Wearing red. Okay. So, Zach, I want to start with you. We've all watched football for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember a window that has swung that wild, literally within hours, not days. We're talking about hours. So, Zach, Ronaldo's back in the red side of Manchester. The greatest player maybe of all time has now moved to Paris. Just what a window.
It's bizarre, man. Like I've been watching football for a really long time. And I was telling Joe this earlier, I have never seen a summer transfer window so insane in my life. And especially considering it started out slow. We took a month off because there was no damn news to report.
Yeah,
Nothing.
literally. Yeah, we didn't leave you all just for summer break. There really wasn't anything to talk about for a month.
And then it went from, in the words of Drake, copyright, not infringement, it went 0 to 100 real quick. And, it was Grealish, then Lukaku, then Messi's leaving, then Ronaldo. And let's not mention that there are probably 60 other players of elite caliber that are sprinkled in there.
Right.
Not to mention PSG signed Donnarumma on a free. They signed Sergio Ramos on a free. They signed Lionel Messi on a free. They spent $60 million on the right wing back from
Hakimi, right?
Yeah, Hakimi. And
it was insane. You literally had the two best players of their generation leave. You have Lukaku, who arguably, depending on what your rates are, top 3 striker in the world, leaves. And this all happened within the space of about a week. Mm-hmm. It was, and then we had Mbappe.
I was just going to say.
With this close to leaving the same, either like the day after Cristiano returns, the best young player in the world comes that close to leaving within $25 million, which is not that much in football, of leaving.
I don't even know if it's that. I really think that the only reason Kylian Mbappe is not a Galactico right now is because PSG just didn't pick up the damn phone. They said, nope, we're doing this my way. I'll be damned.
They had Real Madrid on the scam likely list.
Yep. Spam. No.
Just rude is what it is. You could have just told them like, hey, sorry, we're not open for business. Stop trying. But they just said, nope, that's not going to pick up the phone.
That last bid was $250 million.
And they just said, nope.
They didn't even pick up the phone.
The first person I thought about when that happened was Joe. And the reason I thought of Joe was because I know Joe has railed, rightfully, about UEFA and financial fair play forever. And the reason I thought of Joe was because I'm like, in what world, as much money as PSG has, and they have a ton of it, can you have a player with a year left on his contract and you can look another team in the face and say, no, we don't want your $200 million.
Knowing that he can walk away next year and is probably going to walk away for free to the club that is bidding on him right now. Like
which is only going to help him because now he's just going to make more money in wages.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I'm like, that's why I thought of Joe. When that happened, I'm like, yep, Joe has banged this gavel for years, and he was right. Because there's no way you should be able to turn down $200 million for the most valuable player, arguably, in the world. And this is cool.
When you shelled out, what, $200 million already on him? And now you're just going to be like, cool, we'll just take that net loss. That's no big deal. What?
Yeah.
What?
Oh, and
that's the kind of money that we're talking about here, though. They are strapped. They are not strapped for cash.
Look at Chelsea, for instance. Like, they spent $100 million, just under $100 million for Lukaku. but they ended up selling $268 million worth of players in this window. The loan army is gone. Like the academy is gone. They said, you have now reached your highest potential. Goodbye. Give me all the money, and they got an obscene amount of money for Tammy Abraham. They still got $40 million for him. They got $40 million for Kurt Zuma. They sold 3 players with a combined 6 senior team appearances for a combined $60 million. And then you have PSG, who's just like $200 million. No, thanks, fam. I'm good.
We'll let him walk for free next year because he's not going to sign a contract extension.
But on the same token, this is the same issue we had with Dortmund letting Haaland go next year for his release clause.
75 mil.
When
they allegedly put a price tag on him for this transfer window at 150, like at the end of the thing after spending the entire transfer window saying, we're not open for business. We're not a bank. That's what they said. We're not a bank. We're not going to sell him. But
the Bundesliga as a whole just really pisses me off. And the more I see it and the more I watch it, it angers me because you have a team like Bayern Munich who every single year they pluck from the lower level teams in Germany and they take their best players. Look at Leipzig. They took their coach, they took their captain, and they took their best center back. And they're like, oh, okay, you come play for us now.
And all the teams are just willing to do it. They could.
They don't have a choice.
They
don't have a choice. They have to
so
because
we will continue to bang the Bayern Munich invitational drum, especially after this transfer window, because it's the same thing that continues to happen every year. They're all little Bayern academies of what they are.
I watch all types of football. I refuse to watch the Bundesliga. I refuse to watch something that I know is over when a season literally is decided in August.
It's frustrating, man, because
like you said, Bayern took the second place team, the team that finished second to Bayern last year. They have the coach, the center back, and the midfielder off the second place team from last year, and they do this all the time. Today they get Sabitzer for like $15 million when teams were trying to buy him for 40 last summer. And they get him for 50. So yeah, the Bundesliga gets no play on my TV because it's the Bayern Invitational. Like no one is ever gonna win this league but Bayern for the next 3 years. Despite even when Lewandowski leaves and somebody else leaves, they just find somebody else. So. The transfer market was bizarre. Like you said, it was really quiet for a month. And then it just exploded. With the month of August hit, everybody realized, oh, snap, we need to buy people. Right. So
real quick though, I want to we got Alex on YouTube shouting out the Bear of Texas podcast. He he's a big figure in Stoppage Time. He says, I don't understand how PSG can turn down 220 million euros for Mbappe. Brother, join the crew because
join the club.
We all in that same boat with you. It's mind-boggling. And I don't care. I'm telling you this, I don't care how much money they've made off of jersey sales and TV rights and sponsorships. I don't care. You do not turn down 220 million euros to let a player walk for free. It's bad business.
Speaking of broadcasting, who purchased the rights to for the French league in Spain?
Piqué, right?
Mr. Gerard Piqué, former Messi teammate and Barcelona guy. So in the Messi debut was the highest rated football match in Spain history. So that man made some smart business moves right there.
I didn't even know he owns a TV company. I didn't even know that. And yeah, he purchased the League One rights in Spain.
To broadcast in Spain.
Just so he could broadcast PSG matches.
For Messi, yeah.
Shout out Gerard Piqué. That's
making moves.
That's pretty smart to be perfectly fair. Fellas, let's check the clock. All right, we got about about 10 minutes left. So,
I think Jorge had some questions.
Jorge,
behind the scene
questions and
if I remembered.
So, super producer Germ is in the building. Jorge's in the building. If there are questions or comments, or even that y'all have, go ahead and fire.
Germ looked like he had a long day today.
Go ahead.
First of all, I want to say I apologize, fellas.
No,
I got beat up. I got remember the brutality thing in Mortal Kombat when they just be sitting there like this? That's how it was at work. So I apologize to y'all. Shouts out to Jorge for stepping in for me. With that being said, I couldn't wait for this show today because I have so many questions, but I have narrowed it down to 3 to make it easy for today. I know you guys are extremely high and low on certain moves. I see Westrick every day on somebody's case. So I want to ask y'all first, and we can go around. What do you feel like out of this transfer window with all of the moves? Do you guys have a favorite?
Wow.
That's a good question.
Shit.
Yes, like a favorite
move
or a favorite team?
Favorite move, because we see the favorite teams behind y'all. But the favorite move, though, I'm asking because, okay, in the words of, and as we say in '94, who got better today?
I would say it is.
Question.
I would tell you this: Ronaldo hype to the side. I really like, and I hate to say this because it's Manchester United.
Don't do this.
I really hate to say it. Rafael Varane and Jadon Sancho, once they're like really settled, is an unbelievable upgrade over what they had. If Varane as center back is better than Lindelof, he's probably better than Harry Maguire.
He's not probably.
He most certainly is.
He's better than Maguire. He's better. Varane and Maguire become probably the best center back pairing in the Premier League if they're together. Sancho, once he gets his feet wet, is a clear upgrade over Daniel James, who somehow got sold for $25 million today. I don't know how that happened.
Truthfully, though, that's a fantastic pickup for Leeds. Fantastic pickup.
My 2 favorite pickups that we haven't talked about, I Sancho and Varane to United. As much as I grit my teeth and say, I actually really like.
That's fair.
What about you,
I don't like it, but that's fair. Okay, so if this team didn't have the window they had, Manchester United probably would have the best window. And this is going to piss me off even more because I have to say it, but PSG has had the best window by far.
Yeah.
And truthfully, one of my favorite pickups by them is Wijnaldum. And that's a very underrated signing. And then a little bit lower on the tier of caliber. West Ham had a fantastic window, and they have spent, I think when I was calculating it, because I did this last year for the preview show and I did it again this year, I think in the last 5 or 6 months of both transfer windows, they've spent upwards of like £210 million, which is absurd for a team like West Ham. They were able to bring in Kurt Zuma from Chelsea, which is going to stabilize that back line for them. They got Ben Rama last window from Southampton. So I think Wijnaldum's probably going to be my favorite signing. That's a non-Chelsea signing because I gotta take off the glasses every once in a while and look outside of the realms of London, because London is blue. I mean, the whole world is blue right now because, in case you didn't know, we are the winners of the Champions League. There's 2 stars on my shirt because of that. But, anyway, Joe, how about you? What's your favorite signing?
For both of your guys, I think signing wise are spot on. Those teams, I think, have the same issue for me. Is I don't trust either of their managers to handle all the abundance of talent that they both have now. If you look at the depth chart for both those squads, it's absurd. They've caught up to City with having multiple star quality players at pretty much every position.
Well, United has a abysmal midfield, especially for like holding midfielders. That's where they're hurting. I would say that United has talent all over the pitch, except for where they really needed it in a holding midfielder.
Yeah,
that's why they wanted Saul.
They were a holding midfielder away from me actually almost really borderline wanting to change my league title pick. If they had gotten one holding midfielder today or at any point in the window, they would be a favorite to win the title because they like Zach said, they can in attack they can do almost anything, but they don't. That midfield is
holding side definitely leaves a little bit to be desired. So we'll have to see how
Pogba and Bruno Fernandes can only do so much, attacking wise, but they leave a lot to be desired on the back end, and that's why they needed, whether it was a holding midfielder. Truthfully, I'd have taken a box to box midfielder for them, just someone who's good at everything, and that's why. And I know that Rod, he was pushing hard for Saul because Saul was it. If United were able to get him, truthfully, Joe, I might have tipped United to really make a run at the title, and that's above Chelsea. That's above City. I still don't think there are any teams that can compare to the depth of what City and Chelsea have right now, though.
That was going to be my next question, actually. Is it still City and Chelsea versus the field after all of these moves?
United, I think, has put themselves right in that conversation, depending on how things fall. I still have City and Chelsea 1 and 2. For me, I still have them up there. United has definitely made a run. I think if Liverpool can actually stay healthy, they will stay right there in the top 4. And I think it's a 4-team race. But
Liverpool's problem is going to be it's going to be you don't wish injury. I just don't think they have enough bodies. In the question, in over the course of 4 competitions, you're gonna have to play 60 matches probably. They just don't have the numbers. Their first 11, if the game was if it was FIFA and we just turned the injuries off, Liverpool's healthiest 11 is as good as anybody's in the league. But once you get past like the 13th, 14th man, the drop off is unbelievable.
12. After you get past 12.
Yeah. The first 11. So
yeah,
Liverpool is probably going to be going to be 4th. I just don't know if they have the numbers.
I think my issue with Liverpool isn't just their depth though. Like at least in watching that last match against Chelsea, that red card saved them for one. Their front 3 just looked lost. This was a front 3 that we feared between Mane, Salah and Roberto Firmino. They were feared. They were clinical. Every time they got in on goal, they converted, a good 50-60% of their shots. And now it doesn't look like they almost look like they have the yips.
Yeah. And this is where they don't have the bodies, because if one of them is off, where else do you go?
Diego Jota. And that's why I said after you get past 12,
you don't really have anywhere to go.
You're toast.
Chelsea and City have all types of options. United has all types of options if your front three's not firing. They're not going to have enough numbers, I believe, over the course of the season to contend for a title, because injuries and fatigue eventually happen to everybody. Like it's just the course. It's just a long season.
Didn't United finish 3rd last year too?
Second.
They finished 2nd.
United finished 2nd.
Okay. Interesting.
I Alex also wanted to know our thoughts on Camavinga to Real. I think that's a great place for him to grow. I worry that he's not going to get a lot of minutes right off the bat or throughout the course of the year because they have a pretty set midfield that they like to run out there. So I'm that's my only concern for him is that he's for those who don't know, he's a younger 18-year-old, very, very highly rated midfielder. But for me, I do worry that he's not going to get as much playing time as needed because he'll learn from the guys that are in front of him and training, but those young guys need match time, and I don't know if he's going to get enough there. But I do love the player.
Here's my issue with Camavinga to Real. One, if you've seen the first 3 or 4 matches in Rennes matches so far, he looks like shit. Like, just straight up, he looks dreadful. And I really wonder if his success last year was a situation that we've seen in all sports across the world. When someone doesn't have any tape on you and you're able to exploit things, you do well. Once they learn, the type of player you are, they get a little bit of tape on you, they know how to defend against you, you're a little bit less effective. And I don't think that Camavinga to Real is going to help that at all because, like you said, Joe, their midfield's already, it's pretty much there. What are you going to do? You're going to put him on the wing? Okay, well, you have Bale, you have Vinicius, you have Hazard, you have, Benzema's up top, and I know I'm probably forgetting 4 or 5 others that they run out there routinely.
Rodrigo was out wide too, so
yeah,
so he's not going out wide, so he's got to play the midfield somewhere.
He's probably where his move came a year to. Is crazy to say at 18. His move probably was a year too late.
To the wrong team, at least.
And it might be to the wrong team, so we'll see. But I will tell you this, though, with all this transfer activity, my kind of thought on this, too, is now if you are Pochettino and Ole are on the clock now. Both of them.
That seat is
Very
doused in lighter fluid, and it has been lit.
Yeah.
There's no excuses.
None.
If Pochettino, if my guy Poch, if PSG does not win the Champions League this season, not 2022, not 2023, not 2024, they have to win it this season or Poch is out of here in the summer.
They might throw him through the glass at the Louvre. They're going to be upset.
And you don't bring in for Man U, you don't bring in Cristiano Ronaldo to win the League Cup. That's not why he's there.
They're going all out for right now because he's going to be taking minutes from some of their younger talents that they have been trying to get run from. So
this is something we're going to have to cover in another show because I know we're running short on time. But who's the odd man out there? Because Rashford is, supposedly the next great thing. But I said this last year that Mason Greenwood is, at least in my eyes, is their best winger. And he's shown it so far this year. He has 3 goals in 3 games. So, okay, do you put CR7 up top? We've seen it before, but we both know, and Cristiano is better out on the wing than he is, under playing link-up play. He's talented enough to do it, and he can do it, but oh Christ, here we go.
Perfect timing too.
Yeah, but I don't.
Had to rock the old school jersey in tribute.
Gross.
Category 5 in the building. I will tell you what, the guy who the odd man out, and I was hoping he was gonna get a move today because I think it's just kind of worn. His time out there was Martial.
He declined a loan. Lyon had a loan offer in for him. He could have gone back to France and gone back to Lyon, and he declined it.
He'd rather play for the greatest side in the world. I mean, come on.
Can we mute him? Is this?
Hey, y'all invited me here.
We did invite you, unfortunately. That was
Allegedly.
Allegedly. So yeah, next week we are going to get into kind of what's been going on. The international break is this weekend. So next Tuesday we'll kind of do a weekend preview. Next week will be the Cristiano debut. Next weekend versus Newcastle, and kind of see where, with all these moves and all these things happening, kind of where we see the Champions League. The draw was this past week.
We're a week out from first matches, right?
Well, 2 weeks.
After this upcoming show, we'll be a week.
Yeah. So next Tuesday night, we'll be going right in on the Champions League.
I would imagine giving our predictions for group winners and surprises.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Somehow magically City and PSG ended up in the same group.
Shocker of all shocks.
UEFA don't even try to hide it.
Are you guys accusing Branislav Ivanovic and Michael Essien of sabotaging the groups?
I think they are.
This is outlandish.
I think UEFA they don't even try to hide it at this point.
Josh, how you feeling about the guy behind you there?
I'm personally cool with the draw and how it turned out.
Yeah, I bet you are.
I'm sure you are.
Truthfully, I'm really happy because I don't have to face him now in the Champions League.
Yeah.
Well, let's. How about you get out of the group first, Mr. Europa League?
Some of us would love to be in the Europa League.
Ronnie, I'm gonna send you a fan free agency ticket. We need to get you back to winning ways, sir.
We'll talk about that next week. We'll talk about the Mystery Arsenal Football Club next week, along with what's going on in Europe. It was great seeing you all again. We'll do this again very soon. Remember, Stoppage Time FC is the Facebook group. Scene is the family. Shout out Germaldo, Zach, Joe, Cat5. Remember, make sure Wednesday nights, tomorrow night, The Dish. We're coming down the stretch in baseball. We're coming down the stretch. So make sure you.
I got a lot for you tomorrow too.
There's some interesting happenings going on in baseball, and a lot of it is. Shout out Jorge. Shout out to Jorge's Mets for not being very good on the diamond, but they keeping it so interesting off the diamond. I love it. I absolutely love it.
They're like,
exactly that.
You know, the Mets are like Bishop Sycamore.
I don't even know what that means, but cool.
Listen.
You know what?
Hey.
I'm not gonna drop it all, but there's a team I'm gonna spend a lot of time on tomorrow who is a lot more like Bishop Sycamore. They've been pretending all year.
Uh-oh.
Oh, I already know who it is.
We here for Wednesday night, The Dish, Cat5, Jorge, Germ, might get some Trav action. Dish, Stoppage Time FC, football,